A homeless man, DeCarlos Brown Jr., with over 14 prior arrests, y'all, stabbed and killed Iryna Zaruzhka, a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee, on a Charlotte light rail train on August 22nd, 2025. The reason why people are talking about this even more right now is because we just saw the surveillance footage, which is very, very disturbing. It was released on Friday, September 5th, and it shows Brown pulling out a pocket knife, attacking Zaruzhka, who is unaware. She was just kind of looking at her phone. So she gets on the train. He's already sitting down. She sits right in front of him. She's this like very slight young woman. She takes out her phone. She's scrolling on her phone, and he just kind of looks at her, takes a knife out of his pocket, stands up, and starts violently, aggressively, brutally stabbing her. After the attack, Brown, we see this in the video, Brown left a trail of blood on the train, removed his bloody hoodie, and calmly exited the next station. And everyone that you see in the surveillance footage is just standing there, trying so hard not to do anything. Now, I have so many thoughts about that. On the one hand, like, I understand. You're unarmed. He's obviously an insane person with a knife. I say insane, but could just be evil. And you want to go home to see your family. I totally understand that. At the same time, seeing all of these men lined up there, standing there in silence, when I'm just not sure if that would have happened 25 years ago. I think that they would have tried something. I think that they would have, or someone would have been armed 25 years ago and could have, clocked him in the head. Like, that's what should have happened. So he's got convictions dating back to 2014, including a 2014 armed robbery. He, of course, was free when he allegedly committed this murder. We have to say allegedly, even though we have it on tape because he hasn't been convicted yet. Charlotte's Democratic mayor, Vi Lyles, thanked the media for not sharing the attack video, prompting criticism from Republican leaders like Representative Brad Knott, who condemned her for not addressing the preventable violence. He says the mayor's refusal to condemn senseless, horrific, and preventable violence is as telling as it is despicable. Violent criminals, regardless of who they are or what they look like, need to be in jail. In her statement, Mayor Lyles did not mention the victim by name or discuss any specific measures that the Charlotte area transit system or police are taking to address safety in public transit. She focused on the suspect and urged others not to demonize homeless people. She said the suspect appeared to have struggled with mental health and suffered a crisis. She said Charlotte and its transit system are, quote, by and large safe, but the incident highlights the need for stronger support systems. We will never arrest our way out of issues such as homelessness or mental health. Mental health disease is just that, a disease like any other that needs to be treated with the same compassion, diligence, and commitment as cancer or heart disease. So basically, this person shouldn't be held responsible for his cold-blooded murder because he apparently was mentally unwell. Well, as you guys know, I wrote a book called Toxic Empathy, and how Christians, our well-meaning compassion is used against us, is exploited to convince us that progressive and specifically soft on crime policies are the more loving option. And so I posted this on X in response to this story and in response to what the mayor said. How can empathy be toxic, Allie? Well, you see, this guy was arrested and released a dozen times in the name of social justice and racial equity. Social justice and racial equity policies are born out of empathy for the marginalized. Bad actors convince well-meaning, compassionate Christians that these empathetic, restorative justice measures are the right way to love our neighbors. In this way, the criminal becomes the victim and society becomes chaotic and disordered. We have to be led by truth, order, love, goodness, and virtue, not by empathy. The last chapter of my book, it was a very difficult one to write because there was so much that I could have included in this. But the last chapter of Toxic Empathy is about justice and crime, and how when we are led by empathy for the criminal, we end up making policies that really hurt innocent people. The mainstream media outlets have faced accusations of minimal coverage, Even Elon Musk has said something about it. Charlotte City Council candidate Edwin Peacock and others called for action to address safety and crime on the city's public transit system. The murder occurred amid President Trump's renewed push for a crime crackdown. Another thing I'm very thankful for when it comes to President Trump. He did exactly the right thing in Washington, D.C. I don't know how anyone could be against cracking down on crime the way that he is. A Trump advisor said that this Charlotte murder, quote, is exactly what he's talking about. And it's going to be an issue Trump is going to highlight. Good, as he should. As he should, right? We should all want this. We should all want fewer murders. Piers Morgan commented on this. Why is this disgusting, senseless, unprovoked murder of 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee by a man named Carlos Brown Jr. on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, not getting more media attention? Charlie Kirk also says, dear CNN, WAPO, NYT, ABC, NBC, etc. If you want to know why your ratings are in the tank and no one likes you, look no further than this brutal murder. Shame on you. Genuinely, Stephen Miller, who works for the Trump administration, the Democrat Party at every level, judges, politicians, academics, nonprofits, is organized around the defense and protection of the criminal. Toxic empathy. The monstrous and the depraved. The more vile the threat, the more vociferously the Democrat Party wants to protect and enable it. And that is so true and so unbelievably disordered. So the question is, how do we fix this? Well, I've got a few thoughts on that. First, a really simple option: stop voting for people who hate you. Stop voting for people who advocate for quote unquote restorative justice or social justice or racial equity. These are all code words for I will make sure criminals don't get arrested, and if they do, that they'll get out of jail quickly. Stop voting for representatives, mayors, governors, and where it applies, judges and district attorneys who do not believe that crime should be punished harshly, who demonize the police, who wholesale condemn the United States justice system, who believe that we need to even out the racial quotas in our prison system. Those people will always be bad news. They will always make your city less safe. And therefore, more people, when you vote for people like that, more people will be raped, assaulted, stolen from, and murdered. That is not restorative. It is not just. It is not equitable. When you understand that all progressive vocabulary is actually just a euphemism for something really awful, like reproductive health care is a euphemism for murdering babies, restorative justice is a euphemism for allowing violent criminals on the street to murder you and your elderly mom or your young daughter, you realize that what sounds good when it comes to progressive politicians usually points to evil. Judge policies not by their stated intentions, but by their outcome. If you do that, you will never vote for a progressive again in your life.